adhesive bandage. But are there any other brands that became the names of things? Oh my goodness, yes. There are so many that I hadn't even considered could be. Normally, for lists like this, I would do my best to shorten it in some way to make it more manageable for myself. But honestly, so many of these blew my mind that I'm just gonna read you a bunch of them. I know this list is not perfect, but I'm going to name drop as many as I think the average person might have heard of. Before I do that, however, the term for this phenomenon is called the generic trademark, or a genericized trademark. Basically, these are trademarked words that companies used to market certain products, which became so pervasive that they began to stand for whatever the product was. In some cases, these trademarks have been removed by legal authorities to keep companies from wielding these trademarks against people who might not know the term they are using isn't generic. Anyway, please enjoy this list of words and phrases that were at one point trademarked and are now used generically for one reason or another. Air fryer, now a term for any fryer that does not use oil. App store, originally claimed by Apple, it is now a generic term for a store for purchasing apps. Aspirin, now a generic term for acetylsalicylic acid. Cellophane, now a generic term for thin, transparent sheets of cellulose. Dry ice, originally trademarked by the Dry Ice Corporation, now a term for solid carbon dioxide. Dumpster, originally a portmanteau of dump and Dempster. The trademark was held by Dempster Brothers Incorporated. Escalator, originally trademarked by Otis Elevator Company. Flip phone, now a term for any hinged cell phone, originally trademarked by Motorola. Heroin, originally trademarked by Bayer. The trademark was lost in the Treaty of Versailles. Hovercraft, now a term for any vehicle that hovers over the ground. Kerosene, now a term for lamp fuel, originally derived from coal and bitumen. Laundromat, a term for coin laundry shop, once trademarked by Westinghouse. Linoleum, a type of floor covering, thought to be the first generic trademark. Multiball, a pinball term where two or more balls are in play at once. Sellotape, or scotch tape, depending on your country. These are terms for clear adhesive tape. Superglue, originally trademarked by Loctite Corporation, now a term for extra strong glue. Superhero, originally jointly held by both Marvel and DC Comics. The term has become generic as of September 2024, possibly the newest entry on this list. Taco Tuesday, originally trademarked by Taco John's and Gregory's Restaurant and Bar. Teleprompter, the term for television prompting devices, originally used by Teleprompter Corporation. Thermos, in the US, a term for vacuum-insulated containers, though still trademarked in most of the rest of the world. Trampoline, originally trademarked by Griswold Nissen Trampoline and Tumbling Company. Videotape, now a term meant to record on video, or the physical media of a video recording. Yo-yo, a spinning toy attached to a string. Zip code, originally trademarked by the U.S. Postal Service. Zipper, originally trademarked by B.F. Goodrich for use in rubber boots. The following is a list of words that are used generically but are still considered registered trademarks of the companies that own them. Basically, these are words that consumers use generically but that other companies cannot. adhesive bandage, trademarked by Kenvue. Bubble wrap, the trademark version of inflated cushioning. Chain gun, a trademark of Northrop Grumman for a motor-operated machine gun. Chapstick, Suave Brands Company's name for lip balm, the generic term. Coke, while not extremely prevalent, it is used in some part of the United States as a term for any kind of soda or soft drink, especially in the South, near where Coca-Cola was founded. Craisin, trademarked by Ocean Spray, the generic term would be dried cranberry. Craisins also have added sugar. Crockpot, the trademarked name of a slow cooker. Cyberpunk, a subgenre of science fiction stylistically akin to steampunk or dieselpunk, officially trademarked by CD Projekt. EpiPen, an epinephrine autoinjector. EpiPen is a trademark of Viatris. Freon, a type of refrigerant trademarked by Chemours. Frisbee, Whammo's trademark name for a flying disc. Glock, used generically for semi-automatic pistol, especially in hip-hop. Glock is the brand name of the manufacturer. Google, generically, to search the internet or an internet search engine. Hacky sack, another Whammo trademark, this time for a foot bag. Hoover, used in the UK as a generic term for vacuum, both the noun and the verb. Hula hoop, a Whammo trifecta, trademarking this term for a toy hoop. Jacuzzi, used generically for a hot tub or whirlpool bath. Jacuzzi is the brand name of the manufacturer. Jeep, used to refer to a compact sport utility vehicle. Jeep is the brand name of the manufacturer. Jell-O, in the US, any jelly or gelatin dessert could be called a Jell-O, though that term is trademarked by Kraft Heinz. Jet ski, used to refer to any personal watercraft. Jet ski is a trademark of Kawasaki. Jumbotron, generically a very large television, typically in sporting arenas, trademarked by Sony. Kleenex, also called out in your question, now generic for a facial tissue. Kool-Aid, used in the phrase, drink the Kool-Aid. It could be any drink mix, not just the Kraft Heinz trademarked drink. Koozie, used as a term for any foam or neoprene drink insulator, trademarked by the Koozie Group. Lava lamp, trademarked by Mathmos. This is the term for a liquid motion lamp. Mace, the trademarked name for pepper spray. Memory stick, Sony's trademarked name for their USB flash drive, now used generically for any USB flash drive. Muzak, a term used to cover many kinds of elevator or background music, trademarked by Muzak Holdings. Onesie, in the US, a term for a bodysuit, especially for infants, officially trademarked by Gerber. Photoshop, a verb used to mean edit an image file. Photoshop is trademarked by Adobe Incorporated. Ping pong, a Parker Brothers trademark for the game of table tennis. Plexiglass, the trademarked name for acrylic glass. Popsicle, the trademarked name for an ice pop, or ice lolly, or icy pole, depending on which country you're in. Post-it, used by many to refer to any kind of sticky note, trademarked by 3M. PowerPoint, often used when referring to any slideshow presentation. PowerPoint is a trademark of Microsoft. Putt-putt golf, a term for miniature golf, trademarked by Putt-Putt Fun Center. Pyrex, a relatively new one. Pyrex has come to mean any kind of borosilicate glass container, not just those made by Corel brands. Q-tips, a cotton swab, trademarked by Unilever. Realtor, a shortened version of real estate agent, trademarked by the National Association of Realtors and the Canadian Real Estate Association to refer to their own members specifically. Rollerblade, a trademarked term for inline skates. Roomba, now a term for any robotic vacuum cleaner, trademarked by iRobot Corporation. Saran wrap, in the US, a term for cling film or plastic wrap. Sharpie, the trademarked name for a permanent marker. Speedo, the trademarked name for swim briefs. Stetson, a generic term for any cowboy hat. The John B. Stetson Company actually makes many different styles of brimmed hats. Styrofoam, the trademarked name for polystyrene foam. Tarmac, any type of asphalt road surface, especially in an airport, trademarked by Tarmac. Taser, the trademarked name for an electroshock weapon or stun gun, originally an acronym for Thomas A. Swift's electric rifle. Three-peat, repeating a win 3 times. This term is trademarked for merchandise only. Tupperware, a trademark of Earl Tupper for plastic storage containers. Uber, another relatively new generic term used to mean any ride-sharing service. Vaseline, the trademark name for petroleum jelly. Velcro, the trademark name for hook and loop fastener. Walkman, a term for a personal stereo, often a personal cassette player or personal CD player, officially a trademark of Sony. Winnebago, the trademark for a recreational vehicle or RV. Whiteout, or Tipex, depending on your country, a trademarked name for correction fluid. Xerox, a photocopier, or as a verb, to make a photocopy, trademarked by Xerox. Zamboni, the trademarked name for an ice resurfacer. Zeppelin, the trademarked name for a rigid airship. Ziploc, the trademarked name for a zipper storage bag. Wow, that was a lot. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Thank you so much for that lovely question. Our next question comes from Sabrina. Why is it considered bad luck to break a mirror or see a black cat? That is a good question. Lucky for you, I found the answer. We'll start with breaking a mirror. Early civilizations, like the ancient Greeks and Romans, believed that the reflections we saw in mirrors, or even pools of water and the like, were revealing our souls. The Romans in particular believed that the gods would use mirrors to observe our souls. So, if we were to break a mirror, it would be considered so disrespectful to the gods that it would compel them to rain bad luck on anyone so careless. The breaking of a mirror is also said to bring 7 years bad luck. This number is actually also derived from the Romans. They believed that the body fully renewed itself every 7 years, so even if you were being showered with bad luck, eventually you would have a whole new body and your luck would turn around. Lastly, there is some evidence that the superstition about breaking mirrors was perpetuated by those that made or owned glass mirrors. When mirrors changed from being polished metal sheets to glass panes housed in wood or metal frames, they became much more delicate and expensive. In order to keep people from handling them carelessly, they were reminded that they would get 7 years bad luck if they broke the mirror. The black cat superstition was started by the Catholic Church, though indirectly. Initially, it was cats in general, as they were associated with witches, which the church was trying to purge from all of Europe. As the mythological powers of witches began to grow, so too did the superstition about cats. It servant had crossed your path. No matter which of these you believed, they were all considered to be quite unlucky. While we're talking about bad luck superstitions, we might as well dive into the origins of some of the more common ones. The number 13 is considered unlucky, at least in Western cultures. It is believed that this is because of the association with the 13th guest in two prominent religions. Judas was the 13th guest at the Last Supper and betrayed Jesus. Loki was the 13th guest at a dinner party in Valhalla and tricked Hodor into killing Balder. Similarly, 666 is considered unlucky as it is the number of the beast, or the devil's number. The act of opening an umbrella indoors is considered unlucky. As with many other items on this list, the origins of this superstition may stem from a religious belief. Ancient Egyptians used umbrellas more to protect themselves from the sun's rays than from the rain. They then believed that opening an umbrella indoors, where the sun god could not get, would upset the sun god Ra. Modern umbrella makers of the Victorian age may have spread this superstition as a safety precaution. In those days, umbrellas were spring-loaded and opened fast. If you were not careful, you could knock over decor or poke someone in the eye if you opened your umbrella inside. Therefore, the superstition was spread to ensure no one and nothing got hurt in the act of opening an umbrella. Spilling salt is considered to be a bad omen, and wouldn't you know it derives from a Roman belief. Salt was quite valuable in those days, lasted a long time, and could preserve things. For these reasons, salt was seen as a symbol of trust and friendship. Therefore, if you were to spill salt, you were telling those around you that you were not to be trusted. Your appearance then was an ill omen to those who thought you were a friend. Many cultures believe that killing a ladybug will bring you bad luck. This is sort of in conjunction with the belief that ladybugs themselves bring good fortune, possibly derived from their role in agricultural pest control. Many cultures believe that a ladybug landing on you is good luck. If you were to kill a good luck creature, obviously you are bringing bad luck to yourself. While it is not very safe to walk under a ladder, especially if someone is using it, some believe that it is also unlucky. This superstition has its roots in religion and death. The belief might stem from the Egyptian reverence of the triangle as a representation of the Trinity of gods. The ladder, the wall, and the floor form a triangle, and walking through that triangle breaks it, angering the gods and bringing you bad luck. Christianity, also a fan of the Trinity, appears to have borrowed and perpetuated this superstition as well. Ladders were also used to assist people in getting up to the rope of a gallows. It was considered very unlucky to walk underneath such a setup, and so the superstition might flow from this as well. Finally, once again in Christianity, ladders were used during Christ's crucifixion, and so are a symbol of wickedness. Thus, if you were to walk beneath one, you would be bringing that wickedness to yourself in the form of bad luck. Thank you for your question. I quite enjoyed it. This question comes from Delta Chief. Which alphabet has the most letters? Well, I thought this question would be much easier to research than it ended up being. The disappointing version of the answer is, it's hard to say. There are tens of thousands of Chinese characters, and by extension Japanese kanji, but these languages are pictographic and are not necessarily considered to have alphabets. Even more confusing, some languages like Spanish or French use accents and other diacritical marks on some letters of their alphabet. Do those accent letters count as additional letters in their alphabet? Most sources say no, but I can see how you can make that argument. Normally, I would use Wikipedia for something like this. site tends to have many articles that are list of something, but because there are so many languages and so many questions about what makes a letter or an alphabet, there is no simple way to compare each of Earth's most common languages by letters in their alphabets. Moreover, when searching for alphabets to compare, I found hundreds more than I was expecting and could not easily identify from the articles I was reading exactly how many characters or letters each one had. So, Chinese and Japanese get honorary mentions for the sheer volume of characters they have at their disposal, but we will look elsewhere for the longest alphabet. For comparison, let's start with the English alphabet. Derived from Latin, English uses 26 letters. It is the same alphabet used by other Latin and Germanic language systems, like French and German, which both have 26 letters. The Spanish languages uses the same alphabet, but with the added ñ character. Italian goes the opposite way, removing J, K, W, X, and Y from the standard Latin alphabet, giving them only 21 characters. Arabic, next highest after Spanish, uses 28 letters. Russian, using the Cyrillic alphabet, has 33 letters. However, these all pale in comparison to the longest alphabet, Khmer. Khmer has 74 letters in its alphabet, making it the largest alphabet by a significant margin. Thank you so much for that question. I never expected something as basic as the alphabet to be that challenging to research. Thank you again to C. George, Sabrina, and Delta Chief. If you would like to have your question answered in a video, leave it in a comment below this one. If you would prefer to ask your question a little more privately, you can email me your question at questionsandasmr@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more questions